Greetings, welcome to the Power of Purpose, another day of inspiration with me, Antonin M. I have a friend of mine, she's a poet and she's an inspirational speaker, Sarah Goro. She wrote a quote that perception creates your reality. Now that made me think about the story of Abraham in Genesis 13 verse 14. When God said, look to the west, look to the east, north, and south. Whatever you see is going to be yours. My office is on top of the building in town, and it's on city view. So I'm on the top floor. When guests come, my friends come, or counseling, training, one-on-one, I would make them go on the window and see the city. And then I would ask them a question. What do you see? And of course you're going to get different answers from different people. Others, they would say, I see a building, I see lights, I see cars, and so on and so forth. So many responses based on what they see. I want to talk to you about short-sighted. Because what you see is what you get. The images in your mind and the pictures you see, that is going to be your reality. So often when I would look through the window and I see big buildings, offices, I see people and I see money. And I'll tell my client, what I see in those, I don't just see buildings, I see people. And I see money. I see every company, what I can go in and be able to offer my services and how much money I'm going to make. Now, most of us, our sight is often driven from the childhood grooming and the information we have acquired over the years. Because the information you have acquired in your life begins to build a mental image, and that mental image becomes your verbal expressions. So what you see in your mind, what you see in your soul, in your spirit, that is what you're going to express. That is what is going to come out of your mouth. Now, I want you to think about this. Look at where you grew up, your surrounding, your friends, and look at the schools you went to. What kind of information have you acquired over the years? Does this information expand you, or does this information limit you? It's very, very important, because you are defined by the information you acquire on your daily basis. Be it on social media, family, friends, because that begins to inform and enforce your stance in terms of your values, your principles, and how far you want to go in life. So if you have seen a person who is limited or living an average life or life of mediocrity, I want you to think about the source of their information. You shall know the tree by its fruit, but I always say look for the root as well, because the root is the source of your foundation and your information. And I would say this growing up, that for me, I would break the word understanding into two words: under and stand. So what are you standing on? What kind of information are you standing on? What is the basis of your ground, of your values and your moral and your belief system in terms of your business, entrepreneurship, your relationship going forward? What is that understanding do you have? What are you standing on in terms of information? So I don't judge people by their short-sighted, by their limited sight. I often ask the source of their information, because information creates images in your mind and also determines in life how far you're going to go or how low you're going to go. So information brings about two things. which is the first concept information takes you to, is isolation. Most of the time I love reading books. So I would go in an isolation to read books. Sometimes in that time of isolation, I get time to reevaluate my life. I get time to resharpen my skills, my training skills, speaking skills, and all the other skills that I need, maybe poetry, maybe film. So I take time as I read, as I digest this information, I take time to evaluate myself. Now, on the other side of this isolation, there are certain people, because of the information they received, they were isolated from the abundance of life. They were isolated from the greatness of life. Why? Because they got diluted information. They got misleading information. So sometimes people are isolated, are taken away and kept into a life of average, mediocrity, because of the information they receive. Again, you go back to evaluate the information. So most of the time, when you acquire this information, sometimes you're in a classroom. Everybody is there. It's social media, everybody is there. It's on TV, wherever you acquire it, you might be in public. But the time you digest this information, and the time you need to take introspection, how this information works for you or not. Somebody said, why sometimes are you selective in what you listen? As much as we encourage people during the conversation not to have a selective listening, you need to have the totality, you need to listen actively. But I believe as you walk around the spheres of life, the streets that we walk through, the surrounding, the workplace, I believe that you also need to begin to discipline your mind and your hearing skills to block off certain things in order for your soul to remain healthy. Because if you keep accessing everything that comes, you may be overloaded with information that you don't need. So I'm thinking time for isolation is also time for cutting off what you don't need in your mental capacity. Time for isolation is also the time you'll be able to expand your own mental visions and pictures on how far you want to go. I'm hoping you are not on the class of those who have been isolated due to the wrong information they received. You come to number 3. What information does. So you have information, it leads either to isolation positively or negatively. Number 3 will be influence. You see, what you see influences your behavior. Perception creates your reality. Look to the east, west, north, and south, the city view. What you see basically is going to influence what you feel. It will influence what you do. It will influence your disciplines. It will influence your principles. You see, a young man was shown a vision about his great future, becoming a prime minister in life and becoming a great influence across the countries. Though he was surrounded by dark moments, bad situation, bad people, because he saw something in the very end of his life, sight, that influenced him from the inside. And the influence from the inside became external influence in such a way, because I'm so much influenced with my inner conviction, my purpose, and my vision, that power begins to influence everybody around me. And that is what happened to young Joseph, that the power he had sown about his life, so wherever he found himself, be it in a bad group, where the conviction of the inside began to influence everybody around him. What do you see? How far can you see right now? Most of you might be only seeing the complaining, the bad situation, bad economy, what COVID has come and taken away. Is that the only thing you can see? Is that the only thing? What do you see? East, west, north, and south. As far as you can see, that will be your reality. What do you see? And what kind of information have you acquired over the years that now has taken you into isolation, either of selection or isolation away from the abundance of life? Can you be able to influence by what you see? What you see, has it been able to bring certain convictions, beliefs, and principles on how you do things in your own life? So, my encouragement to you, don't be short-sighted. Don't just see on the troubles on what you see now, because your perception creates your reality. No matter what you feel, see beyond, see bigger, see better. Until then, tell your story and impact lives. This is the Power of Purpose Africa.